All right, so to start out, what is your name and where were you born?
My name is Susan Kwok Anwara now.
Mm-hmm.
But before I got married, it was Susan Chuteng Kwok. And
Can you spell that?
Yes.
I'm sure you can, but would you please spell it for us?
Susan is regular Susan, right? And my dad gave me that name because he wanted us to, be able to fit into the society here. But the middle name is Chinese, and I've always been a little bit embarrassed about it. So as soon as I got married, I dropped it.
Aw.
And I just took Kwok into the middle and then put my husband's last name at the end. But now I can openly say that. So the middle name is Chuteng, which is my Chinese name. So it's CHU-TENG.
Okay.
And then Kwok is KWOK.
Okay.
Right. But now it's Anora, so it's ANNOURA. It's Japanese.
That's very pretty.
Thank you.
And so where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Houston, south in Clear Lake.
Did you live here your whole life, or did you move around?
I lived here. I was actually born in D.C. My parents went to University of Maryland. That's where I was born, in Silver Spring, Maryland. My dad got a job with Lockheed Martin, subcontractor of NASA, so we moved down to Clear Lake when I was 2. I grew up in Clear Lake from 2 to 18. Went to Clear Lake High School. Went to Baylor University in Waco. My 3rd year did an exchange program. Took me over to Japan.
Ooh.
Spent a year in Japan, came back to Baylor, graduated, got married, and moved back to Japan.
Oh.
So spent my entire adult life from 22 to 35 in Japan
Wow.
and moved back to the Houston area
Do you
in
speak
2007.
Japanese?
I speak
Where did you learn?
in Japan.
Oh, okay. So you went there first and then you learned.
Well, yeah, I went there first. I did a year on the study abroad, and then so I knew about a year's worth. And then when I came back here, finished school, got married, and moved over there, all I had was the year. So I took some private lessons, and when you're over there,
It helps the immersion.
everyone speaks. Actually, no one speaks English there at all, at all.
Wow.
So it's not like China or other Asian countries, India or whatever, where they can actually speak some English. They can't speak any at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't figure out something, you're just not going to survive. So yeah, I picked it up while I was over there.
Was the language like the hardest thing about being in Japan? Or were there other cultural differences?
No, there's definitely a lot of cultural differences. Yeah, so there's a lot. That's a
Alright.
whole. You want to know about that? I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, if you could just tell us a little bit about some the cultural differences you experienced.
There's a
there.
lot. I mean, that's a whole book in itself.
What's one thing that stood out to you the most as being the most different?
Probably the husband-wife relationship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was kind of weird to me. Just how I pictured it to be was how we picture it to be, I guess, right? Where you get married and going forward, you do everything together, and you whatever, go to parties together, you go to weddings together, you hang out, you sleep in the same bed, for example, things like this. But what I was seeing was, we would get invited to a wedding, but only he would be invited to the wedding. And I would be like, well, hey, I'm 22. I just moved over here for you, and I'm sitting in this house. Like, what am I gonna do? Just sit here? Okay, so it was weird, right? It made me really sad. It made me very confused, and eventually later on, as I got integrated into that society, I got invited to weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I'm going to go to my wedding.
Bye now.
See ya. And it was just strange. I felt bad not bringing him to the wedding, but I'm like, okay, well, now I got invited to the wedding. So here I go to my wedding. So, yeah, it was different. Or even if you stayed at a really nice hotel, the beds are always separate. So they wouldn't have, if you wanted to go, with your husband on a trip or whatever, you would think that you'd be staying in a king-size bed, right?
Yeah.
But there you'd be sleeping on 2 separate beds. It's always 2 separate beds. I was like, what? So yeah, I remember having to move that little nightstand out the middle and push the 2 beds together so we could hang out. I mean, it was just strange, right? So yeah, there's a lot of that.
So your husband is Japanese?
He is. He's full on. He's full on Japanese. So now he's here. He'd better be a good one for the interview. Yeah. So he's. We moved back here in 2007. So he's been here for about 7 years. We've been back for about 7 years. Yeah.
So you said you first went to Japan when you were studying abroad. What
Right.
made you choose to go to Japan in the first place?
That's a good question. Baylor had a exchange program with a school in Fukuoka, Japan, which is down south on the island of Kyushu. And I was taking Chinese. My background's Chinese. My dad's from Hong Kong. My mom's from Taiwan. And I was in the foreign language building. All the foreign languages are in the same building. And I remember going in there. I was like y'all's age, just freshman in college. And, you know, once in a while they'll have postings of, yeah, you study abroad, this and that. And I never thought about, you know, leaving Houston ever. Like had never thought about it. And we didn't even speak Japanese. We have no I had never even eaten Japanese food. Like my parents were like, what are you thinking? Like, why would you want to go there? Like, we have no connections over there, none. And my junior year, no, my sophomore year was my second year. Be careful of this. You guys don't fall into this trap. I was in the foreign language building. They had a sign and it was posted, and they were looking for applicants to go to Japan, right? And this is in 92. So it was a while back. And Baylor is a little different than Rice, right? We're in a small city. It was in Waco. And back in the day, it was just very conservative. I mean, it still is probably pretty conservative, but there was like no drinking, dancing, smoking, no boys, no anything. It was very, very strict. You go to chapel, there was nothing on campus. There's nowhere you can go. I mean, you're just kind of in the all-girls dorm, and you're just kind of just stuck there. And I had never thought about, you know, going anywhere, and the people that go there are the same. They never think that they're going to go anywhere either, I guess, because no one was applying for it. And so it was a free ride to Japan. It was a full-on scholarship to go to Japan.
Wow.
You graduate on time. All your credits come back. You know, you don't graduate late. Everything's paid for. Everything's paid for.
I'm jealous.
And 3 people go over there, and 3 people from their school come to Baylor. Okay, so it was like 3-and-3 exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were, I remember looking at the thing on the board. They were looking for kids to go, and it said, here are the criteria. You gotta, you had to have a, certain GPA. You gotta have 2 years Japanese. You gotta, be open to other cultures. Mm-hmm. All right, and I was like, well, I don't have the 2 years Japanese. I had never done any Japanese before. So I didn't ever try to get into that program or go apply for that because I didn't qualify. And I guess it got really near the deadline where they needed to turn in the names, and there was no one signing up for it, right? And so I remember going in there and that one was scratched out. The must learn 2 years of Japanese was scratched out, and all it said was 2 years, any foreign language, 2 years, certain GPA, which I had, and then a willingness to, learn other cultures. Mm-hmm. And so I had 2 years of Chinese. I had the second year of Chinese. I was in my second year, so I was like, okay, well, that could be me. So I put in my application. I didn't tell my parents.
Tell your parents?
No, I didn't tell my parents. I put in the application, right, just to see if I could get it. I told my roommates. I was like, I'm going to try to go to Japan. They're like, what? I'm going to see if I can do it because they took off that prerequisite. So I'm going to see if I can get in there. And I don't know. I was, when you might be going through it, but when I was younger, I didn't really like being at Baylor. It was kind of a little too strict. And my parents are very religious. They wanted me to go there because my brother went there, and they thought my big brother could look after me. But I wanted to do other things. I don't know. So this is my way to get out of there. And I was like, I'm just going to go to Japan. And so I applied for it, right? And I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I remember thinking, I was like praying to God, why didn't I get it? You must not want me to go to Japan. I was like all bummed. I was all sad, right? I was like, God, stuck at Baylor again. And then I went home for spring break, and we got a phone call. We were all eating dinner, and it was someone from Baylor, and they said, you know what, we're going to do 4 people this year, and you're the 4th, right?
Oh my goodness.
So we're going to try 4 this year. You're the 4th, and you're kind of just a test case because you're the only one going that's never done Japanese. All the other 3, they've all got 2 years, right? Except for you. You don't know anything. We're gonna send you up and see how that goes, right? So I had to tell my parents because my parents were like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's Baylor," and I actually got into this exchange program in Japan, and they were like, "Japan? Why would you want to go to Japan?" And I explained it to them, so they're very worried and very scared for me. But yeah, they were very scared, and I ended up going over there, and that's how I ended up over there.
Wow,
I know, right?
That's amazing.
Isn't that funny?
How did you meet your husband?
It was a 9-month exchange, so it goes from August to May.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of May, there are actually kids from everywhere. So some from Oklahoma and some from, I think there's some from San Diego and then some from like New York. And so everyone started going home because the program was over.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, well, I can actually go home and work at Landry's at the Kemah Boardwalk where I live. Except the Kemah Boardwalk wasn't there. Landry's was there on the water right there. It's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
I could go home and wait tables, or I could stay in Japan for the summer and teach English. Because I was teaching English and I was like bartending a little bit. I was like 19, 20 or something. I don't have like a drinking age or something. I don't know. But yeah, I was like bartending a little bit and I was teaching English to little kids. And I was like, or I can stay here, and I was getting better at the Japanese. And I thought maybe I should just stay there, just for the summer. And then, of course, go back and finish school. And so I told my parents, I think I'm going to stay through the summer and, brush up on my Japanese, make a little bit more money, and, then come back and finish up school. And I met him during that summer, that last couple months that I was there. I met him June 11th at the beach near my house. He was a professional athlete, so it was a Friday afternoon, and he was jogging on the beach, right? He's like all buff. He doesn't look like the typical Japanese, man, that's like skinny and white. He was like all, buff, and he was like jogging on the beach. And it's like maybe he's like me, like Japanese, Asian American,
Mm-hmm.
I thought. And so yeah, we caught each other's eyes, checking each other out, and then somehow we started talking, and I realized he was not American. He didn't speak any English. Although his mom was an English teacher, that helped a little bit. But he was like, hey, you want to go get, this is all in Japanese, with my 9 months of Japanese. Would you like to go get an iced tea? And so we went out and had a little iced tea, and we got to know each other that way. And yeah, and then, just 2 months later, he was like, hey, we should get married. I mean, it was very fast.
2 months?
He proposed like that fall.
Is that normal in Japan?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, no. He's 5 years older, so I was 21 and he was 26.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up he came to America, came to visit my family and went to see Baylor, and he proposed that fall, and then we married right after I got out. So I graduated in May and married him in June and moved over to Japan.
Wow.
Yeah,
So when you were starting out, were you just speaking Japanese to him, or was he trying to learn a little bit of English?
We were both just trying to do whatever we could to communicate. But then you got to understand, this is before the internet. I mean, I feel old saying that. It's crazy. But I remember like my graduating year, they were like, and this is your email address, Baylor or whatever, BCU or whatever it was. We were like, what's that? Like,
Email?
I know. We were like, they don't even know how to do that. So there was no, of course, no iPhones. There's nothing. There was like literally nothing. There was no, once I went over there, I had zero connection to the real world. I was just dead, like lost. Because there's no internet. And you're in a foreign country. What are you going to do? You can't read anything. You can't understand anything. I mean, you had a year's worth of Japanese, but it was awful. It was awful.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very, very hard. I fell into a very deep depression for like a year. Lost. Just like, oh no, I think I messed up. What am I doing here, right? I'm like, I'm not valedictorian, but I mean, I was like top 1% of my class. I was voted most likely to succeed. I mean, I'm not supposed to like be a lawyer, do something. Like, what am I doing here, right? And then all this weird cultural stuff where he was going to parties by himself, and I was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I got really lost, and I couldn't get a job because they didn't want to hire, like, I don't know if they didn't want to hire women, or they didn't want to hire English speaking people, or maybe they didn't want to hire people that weren't fluent perfect in Japanese. So I couldn't find my niche. I was like so disoriented. I was like, I didn't want to do all those I was like, I had to be like the Japanese housewife. Where you got to go grocery shopping and lug it home with your hands, walking. I'm like, look, I drive a car and I park in a parking lot and I push stuff in a cart. Like, I don't want to like hand hold it all the way home. I was like, oh, this is just awful. It's terrible. And so one day I was listening. We had my only outlet to reality was a a radio station, and they had the Kobe earthquake had just happened,
Mm-hmm.
and the government said, there's not enough communication sources for foreigners living in Japan, so we should make a radio station that speaks English and Japanese, like an international radio station, and we should have 3 of them, one on each island. So we're going to do one in Tokyo, one in Osaka, and one in Fukuoka, which is where I was. I was like, so I was like, listen to that. And once in a while, the American DJs would come on and they would start talking, right, in English. And you're like, some reality, right? So they're starting to say something, and you're like getting, some People Magazine news, or you get some NBA news, or just any kind of anything that was like, anything related to home. And one day they said they were looking for DJs. And I was like, okay, maybe I could do that, right? I mean, I was teaching and doing some translating work, but they said, they're looking for DJs. And I was more like you guys. I was real studious. I mean, I wasn't like, go be a DJ type. I mean, I had 0 training in that. I mean, I was a business major. But I was stuck over there. My only skill was English. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do that. So got on my bike and went down to the little, like it was like a Radio Shack kind of thing, right? And I bought this microphone, and I rode my bike back to my car. I didn't even drive my car. Right? I like riding on a bicycle, plug it into my little CD player. I put on Brooks and Dunn, My Maria. I don't know if you know that song. And I put the little microphone in, put the little cassette in, put the DVD on, or CD on. I'm like, hey, it's Susan, and I'm coming at you live from the 7th floor of UNI's East Side. I'm like being all gay, like stupid, right? Just acting like a DJ. I was like, and the weather forecast calls for partly cloudy skies. I was just like making up all kinds of stupid stuff to do my audition tape, because they want an audition tape. So I made an audition tape, and then I wrote a little letter, hey, I'd like to be a DJ on your radio station. And I sent that in, and I got called in for an audition.
Wow.
So there were like 54 people or something like that sitting in a room, and they were filling 2 spots. One was a Monday through Friday. It was 12 to 2. No, it was 3 to 5. My first show was 3 to 5. And then a Sunday drive time. So it was like a Sunday afternoon, 1 to 5. And so there's like all these foreigners in there, right? I'm Australian, England, all these other countries, right, that speak English, and a bunch of Americans. And so we went and did our audition, and they have you read the script and do these intros and introduce this song, and okay, read this newscast, okay, read this weather forecast. And then they sit you down, they like kind of see who you are and how long you're going to be here, if you're legal, you have a visa, how you're going to stay. And I passed, so I got the job. So it was my first job. I'm like, okay, I got a job. So now it's a radio DJ. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but let's do this. Because I don't have anything else to do, and I'm stuck here anyway. So I started being a radio DJ. And my first gig was that 3 to 5. It was called the Sound Shack. And from there, life was just like, because now you're like, yeah, I'm a DJ. And it was fun. Right? Because every famous person that came to town, we got to interview, got to go to all their concerts, got all their DVD, CDs.
It's amazing.
Right? All the red carpet movie premieres, and interviewing the Foo Fighters, and go up to Tokyo and interview Dido and Belinda Carlisle and Kool and the Gang. I'm like, Kool and the Gang? I'm like, that's hilarious. That's like in the 80s. Celebrate good times. I'm like, you sang that? Like everyone's like old, like 50s. It was okay. It was all right. It was fun. Christopher Cross. So I have a long list of like just people that I got to interview, and just cool stuff that I got to do that we would never ever be able to do. In our lifetime, like ever. Like right now, when I'm like thinking about my life now, and I think about that life then, I'm like, man, I got to live twice. I totally think that is. Did that happen to me? It's like it's crazy. Yeah.
What did your husband think of you
About
being
this?
a DJ?
He thought it was good. I mean, he thought it was good for me. I got to not be so miserable at my house, right? So that's a good thing. And I got to be a little bit busier, and there's just a lot of perks that come with that job. So he was happy. He was happy. Yeah, and he was traveling all over Japan. So he was like in a different city like every weekend, because he was doing his sport and.
What
What sport
he
did
play?
he do?
He did it's cycling on the velodrome. It's called Keirin, Keirin, and it's it's like an oval track with high walls, and like 6 or 9 of them go at a time.
Oh,
Yeah. As of the 2000 Sydney Olympics, it's actually an Olympic sport now.
Oh wow.
So, but he raced bicycles for almost 20 years, and then he retired, and we came over here.
Wow.
Why did you decide to come over here?
At the time, we just had our second child, and raising kids over there is extremely hard. That's absolutely the number one reason I had to leave. Because life was so awesome, and then we had a kid, and it kind of cramped your style a little bit. You hang in there. When you had the second kid, I couldn't hang out anymore. It was too hard, and everything just changed. You'll find out. Just things change when you have kids, and it was time to go. It was time to go. So, my parents were still in Clear Lake, and we really could have picked any city, but the kids were 3 and 1, and we no one knew what to do for jobs, right? I mean, what is a retired professional athlete? They always have trouble knowing what to do next, right? I mean, look at Michael Jordan. He went from this sport and that sport, and went back out of retirement and then back, right? So it's just, and I think I underestimated how hard that was going to be for him. It was a very, very hard. It was like the transition for me going over there was like him transitioning over here, because he had no family, no friends, and then there was really nothing here for him to do, and so he would probably be a good interview for you. But it was very, very hard for him. And I didn't have a job either, right? And actually, my only knowledge of living in the United States was up to now, what y'all have, like 18 or 19 years old, right? I mean, that's all I ever had. Oh, I went to Baylor, right? A couple years over there, but that was it. And now I have to be the leader. So it was like I was like 35. I'm 43. I just turned 43, but I was 35 at the time, and I remember thinking, okay, I got this. I can be the leader. You've been the leader. I'll check the mail and I'll pay the bills and I'll figure out how to do it. I've never done any of that. None, right? When would we ever do that? I don't even know how to do any of that. I'm like, how do you vote, or how do you get the little sticker on your car? The little whatever that thing is you got to do once a year, pay your taxes, all that stuff. I've never done any of that, right? I was exempt for I followed the little thing that says you're a U.S. citizen filing your taxes, but I didn't know what to do. I mean, it was really hard, and then again, something good happened, and then we just went back up again. So I mean, it's just, I think life is interesting that way. Yeah.
Was it a specific good thing, or?
For me, it was real estate. I came back, and I was thinking, okay, what are my skills? What can I do here? I have nothing. I've never worked here ever, right? Landry's. I was a waitress for like 3 summers, two summers. That's it. So my working experience, none. And I don't want to get back into radio. So I was thinking, okay, I can speak English, I can speak Japanese, and I know Houston. Okay, so what can you do with that? Real estate, right? I mean, as long as you can talk, right? Because I can talk. Because of the radio stuff, I can talk and I can speak a couple languages and I know the area. So for me, it was a logical choice to go into real estate. So I went and got my real estate license. And in Texas, you have to, back in the day, when I got my license, you had to work 2 years under a broker, and then you can test for your broker's license, open your own company. So I did my 2 years to the day.
Wow.
Tested for my broker's license.
Under which broker?
I was with Remax United in Chinatown. And that was also a crazy fluke. I was taking a class, not knowing what to do. When you get into the business, nobody trusts you yet, because you don't know what you're doing, which is fine. So I had 0 clients, didn't know what I was doing at all, and did 0 deals. I got into the business, did 0 deals. And I was working for a small brokerage in Clear Lake with the lady who helped us buy our house in Clear Lake. When I was doing my testing for my real estate license, they said, well, you got to have a broker that will sponsor you. And I was like, I don't know anybody. I didn't know anybody. I had been gone for 15 years. I didn't know anybody. I was back in my city, but I didn't know anybody. Everyone was gone. And the lady that helped us buy the house, Barbara Hunter with Bridgecrest Properties, she's a very nice lady. And I said, hey, Barbara, can I hang my license with you? And, could you sponsor me so I could do this? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So she had a real, kind of a flexible pay plan thing. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I did that. I did 0 deals from September to December. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what to do. And she was a working broker, and she's not like a Keller Williams or Remax where they teach you what to do. They have a generous split, but you got to know what you're doing. They're not going to sit there and babysit you. Okay, you go figure that out. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just take classes. I'm real good at classes. Everything I know, I just go to class. Like, if I don't know, I just go to class. Someone will teach me how to do it, or the people were talking in the class, and you can kind of listen to what they say, and you can kind of pick it up. And so I went to this class, went to my GRI class, and there was a man sitting next to me, and he worked for Remax United, and he was talking about his broker. And he was like, yeah, I got a really great broker, and he's so, he's so awesome, and he just kicks butt. He's just awesome. I want you to meet him. And then you should go over there and work, at Remax United. And it's in Chinatown. And I live in Clear Lake. And Chinatown's Beltway 8 in Bel Air. It's like an hour from my house. And so I was like, okay, that's not a very, real estate is like you're an independent contractor. You don't get paid a penny. You're 100% commission, right? I don't know if you know how that works, but every expense you incur, you just bleed. You get reimbursed for any of that, okay? And I was afraid of expenses because I wasn't making any money. So I was like, okay, my phone was like one of those phones that you are limited on your minutes, so I was like always very conscious about how many minutes I was talking on my phone. And I didn't have one of those passes that you put on your car to drive on the Beltway 8, the Easy Pass. I didn't have that because I didn't want to incur that expense of buying the sticker, which isn't even that much. It was like $15. I didn't know. I didn't know how much it was. I just said I don't want to incur any expenses. So I had to take the roads that it's right off the Beltway, and I would go all the way through the whole town just to get there, so I wouldn't have to get on the number 8, so I didn't pay the bill. I was like, anything I could do to not spend money, right? Because you're just bleeding every day. And so I switched over January 1st, 2008. I switched over to Remax United, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, okay, I got to just go and see what other people are doing. If I don't go and see what other people are doing, I literally will not know what to do, right? You're not going to learn if you're just sitting at home. So I was like, okay, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to go into that office and see what everyone's doing. So I was like, okay, I just, January 2nd, the January 1st was closed. Drive over there, okay. And I'm like, they said, okay, you can be sitting over there. So I was just sitting over here. I have like nothing. I have no computer. I have like a phone that is like on limited minutes. I got no money. I'm just like kind of sitting there like looking around, seeing what other people are doing. And, they're all busy, they're all like doing their contracts and on the telephone, and they're like doing all their stuff and like talking to vendors, and like title company people come in. And I was like, hey, how you doing? Like everyone knows everybody, and you're just sitting like, you don't know anybody. You're like you just feel awful. And there was a boy that sat next to me. His name is Denny. He's from Vietnam. He's born in the States like me, but his parents are from Vietnam. And he had moved over here from California, and he sat next to me, and he was so nice. He's like the nicest person ever. He's like, hey, we're going to go for lunch. You want to go? I was like, wow, that'd be great. I'd love to go, great, because then you can just sit there and just sitting there listening to what people do and say and all the mistakes they make or the problems that they go through is very beneficial to you, because you can learn a lot from just listening to other people and all the things that they go through. So it was just a treat for me to just be in the presence of producing people that are making money and doing it. They're doing it, they're property managing, they're selling, leasing, they're buying. They're doing all this stuff, right? And so he had a partner, and they would always like powwow about their deals, right? And I would just sit there and listen, and I'd go, man, Denny's killing it, right? He's doing so good, and his partner was Quinn, and I was trying to figure out how am I ever going to be like Denny and Quinn. They're like kicking it, right? And so one day, and this is just crazy how this happens. One day, someone walked into the office, and they wanted a lease. And no one, in my business, no one wants leases because it doesn't make money. You make, nothing compared to like a sale. And so no one wanted her. I'm like, I'll take her, right? I got nothing to do. I got no clients. I got nothing to do. I'll take her, and I'll do whatever I can to make this deal, the best deal ever. And you could tell that she was something, right? She was just something. She was Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, all the way up and down. She looked like $1 million. And I was like, okay, she's something, right? What is she? I'm trying to figure out what she was. And she was like, this is what I want, this is my budget, and this is where I want to be, and this is the things I have to have. And I was like, okay, I got it. Give me 1 second. I went back to my desk. I was like, where do I bring her? Like, I had no idea what to do, right? Because she wanted gated in town, and she had a huge budget, and I was like, we don't have anything like that. Like, even West U is not gated, right? Memorial's not gated. We don't have, all of River Oaks is not gated. It's like wide open. Like, our best places are gated, right? It's not... Clear Lake's not, Bay Oaks is not gated, right? Like everything I knew, I was like, where all the rich people live? River Oaks and Westview and Bay Oaks and everything I could think of, nothing was gated, right? I had no options. So I was like, I'll ask Denny. I'm like, Denny, hey, where do I bring her? Because she wants to be gated, right? And she's in the waiting room. She's in the conference room, right? And I'm like sneaking back to the back room going, where do I go? Like I was totally freaking out. I didn't even have a GPS. I had nothing. I didn't know where to bring her. And she said, well, I'll drive and you can ride with me. So I was like, okay. right? So I'm in her car and I have to navigate, but I don't even know where to go, right? And I have no appointments. I got nothing. I have nothing. I don't even have my HAR app. I've got nothing. I don't know what to do. And I'm on limited phone, limited minutes, right? So I'm like calling Denny. Denny, can you get on HAR and see where I can bring her? Because I don't know where to go. Like, what do I do? Can you make some appointments and tell me how to get into the house? Like, I don't know how to get in access, right? So Denny's like my little back agent. Like, he's got a little thing on, right? He's like, la, 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 la. He's like, oh, finally, okay. The first day I couldn't find her anything. Actually, I couldn't. There was nothing. So I said, okay, ma'am, we're gonna have to go farther out. You know, we can't be in the town. We can't even be inside 8. I can't think of anything even in not only inside 610, but even inside 8. We got to go outside 8, the expensive 8. And so Denny said, okay, here I put together this list. Bring her all these places. So we started driving, and she's in the car behind me, right? Mm-hmm. And I show her everything I can show her, and I'm out. I'm done. I have nothing else. She didn't like any of them. And I said, okay, I'm out. I got nothing else. And so he's like, okay, let me see what else I can find. So he's like, blah, blah, blah. He's like booking it for me. He's like, hey, get on Eldridge, Eldridge, and go north, and just keep going north. I was up on Eldridge, right? I have never been up. I live in Clear Lake. Okay, Eldridge is the other end. I'm in the bottom right, and now I'm in the top left, right? Up near Cypress, right? Never been there before, ever, never. And I'm driving to Eldridge. I'm like, hey, where am I? Okay, where am I? The road is ending. It's becoming something else. It's not even Eldridge anymore. It's now some other word. And I'm like, God, it's like forest. It's nothing. I'm lost. I see nothing. I'm like panicking. And he's like, okay, do you see it? I'm like, what am I looking for? He's like, a gate. Do you see gates? Because I'm like, I see a lake. I see a lake and I see gates. He's like, that's it. Go to there. It's Lismore Lakes. That's what it is. And that it's brand new. And she couldn't say no to that. And it was brand new. You look at the lake and it had a gate. And she took it.
Finally, the gate.
She took it. And I was like, oh my God, my first deal ever. And it was like, it was a lot. It was like, I forgot what it was. It might have been like $4,000. So I made like $2,000 off that. And so she said, okay, I take this one, please do the paperwork. And she left. She's like, I have to go take my dog, to the, whatever, get a haircut. I don't know. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll take care of the paperwork. You got to pretend that you know what you're doing. I got it. I'll just send it over, by email. Let her go, right? And she's gone in her little, Cadillac. And I'm in my little, my car. I'm like, hey, I did not even know how to get home. I didn't know where I was, right? Because I'm nowhere. I'm like in the middle of nowhere with no GPS and nothing. Like, that's like someone just dropping you in the middle of nowhere going, hey, go home. I was like, what? I didn't know how to go home. So I'm like, and my phone was dun, 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 battery dying, dead, right? So I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm driving to a cafe, like a Starbucks, like a cafe. I plug my phone in, waiting for it to charge up so I can kind of call for help. Give my address to somebody so they can. I didn't have a computer, right? No, nothing. So yeah, I called up Danny. I was like, hey, how do I get out of here? Like, where am I, right? And so later on, I look at the map, see where I was. I was so far. I was ridiculously far, like off the map far. Like I was not even on the map of Houston anymore. Like here's Houston. Like all of Houston, I was like way over there. Ooh. And I was like, oh my God, I hope she knows where she was. Because she just took a house like super far, but she took it. And then 2 days later, she said, my husband is the pastor of a big church. Okay. Yeah. My husband's the pastor of a big church, and we're looking for some land and some commercial buildings in Houston. Do you do commercial? Of course, I have never done a commercial deal ever in my life. I had just done my first residential, and it was a lease, for Christ's sake. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Tell me what you're looking for. Right? So she's telling me what she's looking for, right? And I spent like the next, couple of months looking, they had my one and only client. I got nobody except for her, right? I'm like looking like crazy. I'm over at Richmond. I'm over here, I didn't get to know Houston very well. They turned out to be my biggest clients. I mean, they bought building after building after building after building all over Texas. Wow. All over Texas. Man. Yeah. All over Texas. I mean, we bought a building in Laredo, in Fort Worth, in Katy, a couple in Houston. I mean,
what were their names?
I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, big tracts of land. I mean, they just bought like crazy. So my first year in real estate, I did really good for my first year in real estate. Uh-huh. And then while that was happening, we got a call from our first Japanese person. They said, "We're Japanese and you are Japanese and you speak Japanese, so can you help us find a house?" And that was my first one. And I was like, I take that back. There was one Japanese realtor in Houston at the time. Now there's 3 or 4. There's not that many, but at that time she had monopolized the whole Houston because she was the only one. And she said, and she lives in Sugar Land, and she said, I have a guy, he works for a Japanese company down in Clear Lake, and I don't really want to go to Clear Lake to go show it, so do you want him? I was like, yeah, I'll take him, right, because I had nobody, and I live there, so sure, right? Well, that was my very first Japanese experience, here's my first Japanese client, it's a lease, but still okay. And so, he said, he wanted such and such, so I got him that, and he referred someone, and they referred someone, and then they referred someone, and then they referred someone. And so we literally, from that one guy, took off. We took off from that one guy. Yeah. And I remember, because I had nothing else to do, and he was my only client, he said, "My mini blinds won't work. Can you come look at my mini blinds?" And this is after I closed them. This was like several weeks later. I'm done. Like, my job is to find you a house, do the paperwork, negotiate, get you in there, get your deposits. Sayonara, I'm done, right? Go enjoy your life in your new house. And he was like, "My mini blinds won't work." And I'm thinking, that's not my job. I'm not property managing this. Like, go freaking figure out your own mini blinds, right? But I didn't have anything else to do. I was like, okay, let me go take out your mini blinds. So I went over there, and I'm like, trying to figure out, they were all jacked up. I mean, the mini blinds were totally jacked up. And I was like, my cousin does mini blinds. Let me go call him. See if he can come over here and fix your mini blinds. Call him up. "Hey, Jay, can you come over here and fix this guy's mini blinds?" They're like, all jacked up. Like, I can't, look at the strings, like, no matter which way you do it, they're like not turning any of the things. I'm like, so you brought in a whole new little component, switch it out. The Japanese guy was like super happy. Just that one thing. And from that, we were like referred out like crazy. Isn't that funny? Every little thing counts, right? And so now we've kind of built the business where we offer a lot of that after service, because what we find is, when they're coming in from a different culture, it's kind of the same as when I was in Japan. They don't know how to prevent the water pipes from busting. They don't know how to water their grass, interestingly enough, because they don't have any grass, right? They don't know how to do anything. I'm like, okay, this is a dishwasher. They don't have a dishwasher. That was another thing. Yeah, they don't have a dishwasher, right? So they don't have central air and heat. Right? So they're not used to keeping the whole house cool. Right? So sometimes when they go on vacation, they turn it off. Completely, the whole system off. Like in the summertime for like 2 weeks. They come back and, it's like really bad for the house to do that, right? Yeah. So the owners are like, please don't let them do that. So just being that buffer between, the American landlord and the Japanese tenant, we've kind of built a whole business on that as well.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. That's kind of fun. Yeah. We've kind of brought the company a bunch of different directions right now. In a good way, but yeah.
So what does your husband do now?
Good question. When he first came over, he was kind of not knowing what to do, right? And so we got him a job at the bike barn because we figured that might be comfortable for him. He knows bikes, and he'd be around the cyclists. And that wasn't very good. That didn't work out too good. I mean, he liked it, but when you're making that much money and then you go to a $10 an hour or whatever he was making job, I think that kind of affected his, ego. I don't know if I should say that, but so he thought, surely I can do something better than this, with my life. So he said, he thought about it and he said, okay, I think I want to build custom bicycles. Ooh. And so he went to a class on how to do that in Colorado, a Japanese frame builder over there, real famous when he makes bicycles for the Olympic team in the United States. Wow. And so Ko went over there. His name is Ko, my husband. He took a class in that, and because he's always raced, bicycles, and all of his bicycles are 100% custom made. They're all made to him, made to fit, and so he knows about that, but he's just never done it himself. Mm-hmm. He knows how to tell the builder how to do it, like the dimensions and everything else, all the lug work, all the stuff. He knows what he wants, so he knows the customer side of it, just not the builder side of it. So he went to learn the builder side of it, and he started his own company doing custom bikes. So he was doing that for a couple years. He's still doing it once in a while. He'll make a bike or two a year, if it's someone that it really needs it. Like he built a couple for Cirque du Soleil.
Wow.
The high wire act. There's a couple bikes that ride up and down on the high wire.
Wow.
So he Cirque du Soleil called and said, hey, can you come and visit us and see what we need, and and he.
That's so cool.
I thought that was really neat. I was like, that's super
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, great. So last year, 2 years ago, I had a baby. So I had another baby, and we got super busy because of the baby, but also because the company has just really grown and grown and grown. It's gotten kind of super crazy, out of control. And I said, Co, I think we could use another Japanese-speaking person, because our company really has really dominated the market. We've really found our niche in serving the Japanese community. And you speak Japanese, so I mean, you would be a perfect fit. He goes, me? I'm like, yes, you, honey. Go get your real estate license. He was like, me? He's not very academic. He's not like you guys going to Rice University. He did go to very good university, but he just, the whole thing's in English. And it's, proprietary rights and all this, all this very difficult lingo to pass the test, He's like, I can't do it. It's so hard. I was like, you can do it, honey. I mean, look at all the other foreigners. They all have their real estate license. How'd they do it? I go to a crash course, go to Champions, review class. They'll teach you how to take the test. You take your classes, then you go learn how to take the test. And so, oh boy, he struggled like crazy, but he finally got his license. So now he's in the company, right? And now he serves a giant purpose. I mean, he takes care of the whole property management side of things.
Wow.
Right? Because all of our tenants are Japanese, and when they have an issue, they just call Co. Right? And they can, chit-chat Japanese, and he's real handy too. He can go over there and fix anything. He can change out a little air conditioning filter. He can teach them how to wrap their pipes, or he can go over there and trip their little GFCI breakers, or just little things that they don't know that they need to know. So and it frees me up, because usually that's me running over there, and I can't be running over there anymore because now I got other things going on. So it's good to have an extra guy that can do, take the load off of me. So he now works for the company, and he's doing very well. He's actually out writing a contract at one of the apartment complexes right now.
Wow.
I was very proud of him. I was like, hey, he's Japanese, he's yours, honey. I can just kind of hand him over, right? So yeah, he and people like him, because he's very gentle, and because he hasn't been here very long, he can understand what they're worried about. So when they're feeling a little uneasy or they're worried, he can explain.
He can relate really well.
He can relate very well, yeah. And so he knows, how to, make them feel better or fix all their problems. So, we send them all coupons, free Starbucks this week, Kirkland coupon, they just moved in, like, here's a Bed Bath & Beyond coupon. Whatever we can do to help people out, right? I mean,
Yeah, anything helps.
right? So, yeah, we try to, not only do the business, but also be helpful, and, we kind of got back into church. So we've been going to church and, really absorbing that in, and really feeling how all this is fitting together. I mean, I don't think this is by luck. I think there's some divine intervention. I think God has really given me the right tools to do what I'm doing in the right time. Right? Had I not gone to Japan, I wouldn't speak Japanese. Right? Had I not done radio, I wouldn't be able to talk. Right? Had I not lived in Houston, I wouldn't know the areas. So all of that. If I didn't have Co, I probably couldn't get make the company go as big as it is. So I think everything is just kind of. It all fits. And when you're little, you don't see it. You never see it. Like, what did I have to go to Baylor for, right? You don't want to go to Baylor. But that's all part of it, too, right? I mean, that's how I ended up in Japan. So, I mean, even that was part of it. So, yeah, you'll see how that fits together later. I never saw it until, I guess, very recently. It's probably the last 5 years I'm seeing that. Oh, God, it's all fitting together. Now I kind of see what I'm supposed to be doing, and, how that all works together. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
It's neat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is neat.
So you have 3 kids?
I do. I have 3 kids. 2 were born in Japan, and 1 was born in the States. They're half Japanese and half Chinese by blood. And we have them struggling like crazy, like I did in language school. They go to Chinese school every Sunday afternoon and hate it. Just like I did. I hated it, but now I can speak it, so hey, you gotta do it. And we send them to Japan every summer. So they spend their summers in Japan with their grandparents in Japan. They go to Japanese school over there, and they are completely and utterly immersed in that culture. They do all the festivals, they eat all that food that they eat, they do everything that they do, they live like they sleep on the floor, they bathe like everything they do over like exactly how they do there.
That's amazing.
Yes.
How
So
old
they're-
are they now?
The big one's now 10 and then the middle one's 8.
Okay.
Right. So it's just as much as we can, when they're little, I really want them to have that other culture exposed to them. I feel like as a parent, that's my job. As long as I can afford to send them over there and let them experience all that, I want them to do that at this early age because you learn faster, right? You learn faster when you're little, so they're able to do it. I mean, they're speaking Japanese, they understand Japanese. They're working on the Chinese. Not perfect, but very good. I'm very pleased with their progress in Chinese. Yeah, I test them all the time. My husband tests them in Japanese. I'll say, well, how do you say turn right here? And they'll say, what language? Right? I mean, I'm like, all right, you do Japanese, you do Chinese, right? So, just try to make them do it, right?
What
Yeah.
language do y'all speak at home?
It's all mixed. It's mostly English because they come home, they speak English, but my husband speaks all Japanese to them. Except for recently, he's kind of shifting into English, I see, but a lot, it's half English, half Japanese, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then testing a little bit in Chinese once in a while, yeah.
Uh-huh. Is your Chinese still really good after?
My Chinese is interestingly not bad, conversational wise. Like I couldn't write it, or I couldn't read it, but I can understand it and I can speak it. So, yeah, my Japanese is a lot better, yeah. Except for my writing, it's not that good.
Oh.
I can understand it, I can speak it, I can read it, but I just can't write it very good. I mean, I can if I used a word processor or like Gmail, it auto populates it all, right? So you're like, watashi wa ashita ikimasu. Yeah, if you just write that in English, all the words come up in Japanese. You're like, perfect, send. You don't really have to write it with your hand. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm taking Chinese right now.
Are you really?
So,
All right, say something.
我很喜欢学中文。
Wow. Say it again.
我很喜欢学中文。
Something about 学中文, right?
I actually understood that.
Really?
Yeah.
What did she say?
You said, I want, or I like to study Chinese.
So did she say 我喜欢学中文?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you say it?
I speak Cantonese.
Oh, really? So how do you say that?
我中意 shoot.
Shoot.
This is gonna be so fun to transcribe later. What did she say?
I can't, for some reason I'm just blanking
You're
out.
drank,
I'm
yeah.
studying,
The only thing I
but-
know is Msikongongnoa. You know that one?
Yes, of course.
You're transcribing this part.
I got it. Yeah, I was raised by my grandparents who only spoke Cantonese.
Nice.
But then I moved to New Jersey when I was 5, and then that's where I learned English. And then now, like, I've kind of lost like a lot of the Cantonese.
But you know what? It's in there. It's in there
I
somewhere.
understand it fluent, like no problem, just like English. But then speaking it, it's like the words don't come out right.
That's like my Taiwanese.
Okay.
That's like my Taiwanese. Same thing. It's in there, and if I hear it, I understand it. But it tickles me to try to get it out. Like die laughing. I'm like, oh, I think it goes like this. I kind of imagine what it sounded like, and then I try to say it, and it doesn't quite come out right. But
Yeah,
that's like my Taiwanese.
I took Mandarin for a year last year, and then my Mandarin, I just think of it in Cantonese and try to say it in Mandarin. I'm like, that's something
They're
like
so
that.
different too. You can't cheat like that. They're very
Sometimes it works.
different.
Most of the time it doesn't.
That's funny.
But you mentioned you went to Chinese school. How long did you go to Chinese school for?
I went for at least until I was in middle school, I would think.
Okay.
It was through my parents' church. And it's amazing that I can still remember the words I learned that little.
Mm-hmm.
Right when because that was like 30 years ago. I can still write all those words that I learned back then. That's crazy, right? That's why I'm thinking that if I force all that into my kids now,
Yeah.
it'll stick with them later. You know, even though I use it right now, it'll be in there later when they need to regurgitate it in the future. Right, so, I mean, and that second language or the third, it really opens up doors. Even if you don't do the whole deal in that language, if you can just spit out a few sentences, it really makes people feel a connection.
Right.
So, I highly encourage it. My brother is different than me. He doesn't force his kids to learn it, so they only speak English, right? And we're from the same family, right? And he speaks it just like I do. Chinese, we both speak it about the same level. He thinks he speaks it better, but. And his wife is Miss Chinatown. She's gorgeous.
Wow.
Right? You should probably interview her. She's awesome, but they don't speak. She speaks zero Chinese, and my brother Rob, he doesn't speak Chinese to the kids, and they don't know none, zero, right? So we just have different schools of thought on that. I think it's because I lived abroad,
Right.
and I see the value in it, and I actually use it in my everyday life. I mean, it is the crux of how I'm successful in my business. He's an attorney, he doesn't need it, right? So he's like, I don't need it. All right. So.
Yeah, so besides like the language, do you still do like any like the Chinese or Japanese traditions or like holidays?
Not here.
Not here. Okay.
Not here. Well, we never really did growing up. My mom will, on a rare occasion, bring over mooncakes when it's time for that. And I'm not really even crazy about those mooncakes, but egg on the middle, yeah.
I am not a fan of the egg.
I'm not. It's just creepy, right? And it doesn't taste good. It's not. It's just. I'm not a real beanie person,
Yeah.
so I'm not really fond of that thing. But she'll bring that over, when it's time for that. And she does hongbao, which is the pockets of red money for Chinese New Year. And that's pretty much the extent of it. But I don't even find myself giving the hongbao. I don't do that. Which it would be fun for the kids if I did it, but I don't do that one. Yeah. So we have zero Chinese traditions. Japanese traditions, we kind of stopped doing them. Honestly, when we lived in Japan, we did them all the time. All of them. They have a lot of them. They have a ton of them. I'm like, oh, what are we doing now? It's like, once a month. I'm like, what is this one? It's like Green Day? What are we doing that day? What are we celebrating? It's like, oh, just nature. I'm like, and how do we celebrate nature? And now what is it? Oh, it's Sea Day. I'm like, the sea, like the ocean? How do you celebrate the ocean? Okay, we'll take a day off for that. It's like, okay, now it's the Star Day. I'm like, the stars, the sky. I'm like, okay, I'll take the day off, but
That's really interesting, though.
all right,
It seems like a cultural difference. We have a lot of holidays for people, like Washington,
right,
and Martin Luther King Day. It's
Right.
like the sea, the stars.
I know, right. And they celebrate ours. They celebrate Christmas. I'm like, why are you celebrating Christmas? No, you're Christian. None of y'all. And they make it a big production. It's huge. Wow. Okay, so they do Christmas. They do Valentine's Day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They don't do St. Patrick's Day. They didn't understand that when I was trying to do that. It's like, St. Patrick's Day. Green. Binge. They don't do Halloween, but I hear they're starting to do Halloween.
Oh, really?
They're starting to do Halloween, and they actually like it a lot. But it's not a national holiday, but they celebrate it like we do. No Easter, of course. No Thanksgiving. I remember, because when you're over there, you feel like you want to celebrate your holidays, but none of them are doing it, right? So I'm like, Thanksgiving. And they're like, no. I'm like, Pilgrims? No, that's right. They discovered America. Yeah, you probably wouldn't know that one. And you're like, why don't you guys know this one? I'm like, oh, yeah, you wouldn't know that one. Sorry. But then you go to, a foreign bar, like an American-owned establishment over there, and they'll do, a Thanksgiving. So, all the foreigners are there, celebrating Thanksgiving in Japan, right? So.
Do you and your husband have any special traditions, or?
Not really. No. We just follow the American, really. We just had our 20-year anniversary, and we always go online to see what each year has an a present that you give, right, for that year.
Mm-hmm.
So, it falls into the American, right? It's just totally Americanized, yeah. But nothing special other than that, no.
How about in terms of food? Do y'all cook Japanese or Chinese food? Or
That's a good question. My husband longs for Japanese food. He longs for it. But I'm not a big cook because I am extremely busy. I'm never home.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy cooking, and we do cook a lot, but I find that we're cooking a lot of easy food. So it's spaghetti, whipped together, a hamburger helper, and then it's macaroni and cheese because we have kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But I have a lot of clients that are Japanese, and when they go to Japan, they come back with omiyage, which is like gifts from Japan. And so they know we're from Fukuoka, which is a big food town. It's like a big, like it has really good food there. It's like famous for the food, like all different kinds of food, and pickles and whatever fish and all this stuff. And so they'll bring it back. All right, and I'll go, oh, cool, I got some, seaweed or whatever from, Zaitsu-san or whatever. And he'll go, oh, seaweed, right? Make himself some rice, put a little seaweed on top, and I'll go, oh, so good. And he's like so excited, right? So,
Aw.
yeah. And there's one Japanese grocery store. It's called Daido. It's off of Westheimer and Willcrest. And sometimes when I'm on the west side of town, I'll stop in there and go, hey, I'm in Daido. You want me to get anything? He's like, oh yeah, get me this and this and this and this and this dressing and this sauce and this this pickle and that. I'm like, oh. So I know I can tell that he longs for it.
Mm-hmm.
So in Clear Lake, they just opened a ramen restaurant.
Oh.
And it was the happiest day of his life. October 1st was a grand opening. I've never seen a man that happy ever. He was so excited. Like crazy. For his birthday, which was like 2 weeks ago, November 24th, we took him there. to the ramen restaurant. He was like, oh, it was the best day ever. Super happy. So whenever we get a chance and we have a little bit of time and we're on a mad rush, we'll make like a Japanese meal if we can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to find the ingredients. I gotta find a fish. I'm like, who sells the fish that he wants, right? It's like a mackerel. I'm like, what is? If you go to a regular market, they don't sell that, right? I mean, it's salmon, easily, tilapia, catfish, right? So, gotta go to Daido to get that stuff. I don't have time. I don't have time to just run over there to buy stuff to make. So it's usually by chance.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything you feel like we've left out? And
I don't know. What are you trying to
just,
accomplish?
I guess we just want to hear your story. It's really important to us.
Is there anything else that you think is important about you that you'd like to share?
I don't know. I just think life is a journey. Life is a short journey, and it's over before you know it. So it's important to find a balance between, family, because my kids are small, and I always feel like I'm not doing enough for them because I'm working so hard on the business end of things. So just finding that balance, and then I don't know. You never really hit on like my parents and their influence and all that. I mean, does that?
Okay,
Yeah, we
do you
talked
wanna go
a
into
little
that?
about that. So.
I mean, it's a lot different, I think. I mean, I remember when I was like in middle school one time, actually actively saying this sentence to some of my friends. I'm like, I am exactly like you. It's not my fault my parents are from a different country. That's what I said. Right? So I think that, I guess maybe because I have kids, that now I'm seeing how parents really have a big influence on their kids. Right? Because you aim to please, you want to be, you want them to be proud of you, right? So, they struggled. I mean, they came over with nothing. My dad came over when he was 17 from Hong Kong, had nothing. My mom came over on a scholarship. She's just super smart, right? He was like handsome playboy, and she's like super smarty scholarship, glasses, like, leave me alone. And she was like the only Chinese girl in the whole campus. There was like 15 Chinese men, right? Like, all like eyeing my mom. My mom's like, I'm studying, right? And so my mom ended up going with him, and so they're an interesting match. I mean, it's been, our whole lives have been like that. She's always like, I want you to study, I want you to get good grades, I want you to be good, very conservative, very, cautious, very considerate, very kind. She's still the Mother Teresa of Clear Lake. I mean, seriously, if any new Chinese person comes to Clear Lake, she's the first to pick them up from the airport, teach them English, get them a driver's license. To bring them to church, tell them about Jesus. I mean, she's like all about, helping. On her one day off, she'll cook a giant thing of stew and like divvy it up and drive it to all the old people all over Clear Lake City. Like a little ration for you and a ration for you and a ration for you. And it's like super nice, like crazy super nice. Right? And then my dad on the other side, he's like, hey, I want you to integrate into America. I'm gonna name my son Robert. I'm gonna name my daughter Susan. So no one gets picked on. I want you guys to be well balanced. I want you to play sports. My brother played football. I played, volleyball, and I played golf. And, all through our whole lives, it's always been, let's go to the amusement park, and now let's go, to the whatever, let's go camping, let's go to these state parks. We would load up the station wagon and stop and go and buy a whole bunch of candy and sit in the back with no seatbelts and like sit back there and chew gum. It's like, it was just so crazy growing up, and I just know that we had no money. We had no money. It was crazy. I mean, my mom always says to us now, she's like, you would not believe how we didn't have money. I mean, we were like barely making it. Barely. You just don't know that when you're growing up.
Mm-hmm. What were your parents' jobs?
My dad initially worked for Lockheed,
Mm-hmm.
and then he went over to SingerLink Flight Simulations, which is another subcontractor of NASA. It's always been NASA. Everyone in Clear Lake is NASA related. My mom, she stayed home with the kids until I'm the little one, until I was 10. And she was like just master degree after master degree. I think she ended up with 3 or 4 master degree. I mean, she was like a librarian, and she's like, she's a little study girl. And then she went and got her computer science degree, and then she went and worked for USAA, which is also subcontractor of NASA. And she was just where they both like, 9 to 5 NASA people, probably making, I don't know, whatever. What do they make? Oh, not NASA, but it's public worker, right? I mean, I guess it's not like me, entrepreneur, my brother. We both ended up being entrepreneurs because I think after I lived in Japan for so long, they are a very fair. They want everyone to be fair. They don't like anyone to exceed. Everyone has to be the same. Mm-hmm. So they don't like anyone to be better or different, or they don't encourage entrepreneurship. They want you to be a team. Everyone suffers the same. Everyone, is victorious the same. Everyone is the same. Be the same. Don't be different. They frown on difference. And so after, and we didn't grow up that way, right? We've always grown up, we were very competitive. Whatever you can do to stick out a little bit more than the competitors, right? You gotta be a little bit better than everybody else, but they're not like that. And so after a while, I started getting discouraged, right? Because if you can't excel and be rewarded for that, you have to be bad on purpose. It's just strange. It goes against my grain. I'm like, I don't want to be bad on purpose. No.
Everybody else can toe the line.
I know, catch up. So when I came back, and my brother was doing fantastic. I mean, while I was away, he had he's a lawyer. He started working for a firm. And he did a couple years with the firm, and then he busted out. He was like, I'm going to do my own. So he opened his own, and he started growing it and growing it. He just grew it. He was exploding out of this universe. I mean, came back like, what? He was like driving, all these cool cars and living in this super nice house. I mean, he was living La Vida Loca. He wasn't married yet. Now he's married. But I was like, God, how'd you do this, right? I mean, I was like a DJ. I'm like nothing, right? Compared to you are kicking it. Okay, I have to come figure out how to do this, right? So it's not working 9 to 5 at NASA. I mean, that's not going to do it. So I'm like, okay, I gotta. Real estate is good that way. I mean, whatever effort you put into it is the benefit you're going to reap. I mean, if you put all in, if you're all in, you're full time, and you have a plan and you do it well and you do it right and you don't mess up, you can do very well. You can do very well in this job. So.
Would you say your brother was a big influence on that? In that you came back, you saw he was an entrepreneur and he built his own business. Did you?
As the second child, you always look to the big one, right? I mean, you always look up to your brother. I've always looked up to him, like, God, I was a tomboy. I wanted to just, whatever he was doing, I want to do. Wherever I want to go. I mean, it was always been like that. Mm. But then I think when I went to Japan, we drifted a little bit because I was so far away and we didn't have internet. I mean, we had nothing. We were disconnected a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, if you see your brother doing that well, you want to kind of do good too, right? I mean, it's impossible for me to ever be in his realm. I mean, he's like in the realm of the heavenly realms. I don't know, he's way up there. I mean, if I could just get, have some of the fun toys that he has, it's fun. We're a far cry away from him, but we are living a very good life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit and ask you, like, when you were growing up, like, were you one of the only Asian families in the town, or were there others?
In my high school graduating class, there were 815 people.
Okay.
And I could probably count on one hand the number of Asian people, probably 5.
Wow. Asian Americans? Or?
Asian American.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be all I knew. Mm-hmm. right? So it'd be literally one went to Rice. It was me, Leo, Carl, Nina, Anita.
How did that
Julian
affect?
maybe. He was from Singapore. Yeah, I'm just 6 out of 810. Or 815. That's not very many. Yeah.
How did that affect your school life or growing up? Did you
like hang out with the Asians, or did you guys like stay separate?
I stayed separate.
Mm-hmm.
I played ball, so I was mostly with the white American people that played ball, and the Asians. They all studied like crazy. Now I went to Stanford and Harvard. And seriously, like one went to Rice, one went to Stanford, one went to Harvard, one went to the University of Illinois, and then I went to Baylor. So it was like everyone else went like the Ivy Leagues, right? And then I ended up going to Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I guess it's all part of the plan, right?
Were there a lot of like Asians at Baylor?
Let's see. I knew one that was 2 years older than I was. One Korean guy who actually like works for like he was like the ambassador of Korea's right-hand man now. I mean, I look at him on Facebook going, oh my God. Tae-Kook Cho. I'm like, he's like, this is me, the prime minister of South Korea. I'm like, what? Like, he's like right next to the secret, like Secret
Was that on
Service.
your Facebook?
He did. He's on my Facebook. No, there were very few at Baylor. Remember I told you no one wanted to even apply for that program? There was one guy named Jeremy, and he was from Iowa. He was 2 years older than I am. Like, I can't even think of one person in my own class that was Asian that I hung out with and knew.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that weird?
When you were younger, did people ever like treat you different because you were Asian, or was it just everyone's all the same?
I don't remember anything bad happening or anyone being anything negative, no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the other Asian people,
Yeah.
but I think when you play ball, there's a certain respect, I guess, right? Because, you're representing your school team, right? So I didn't really feel anything, no.
Was there anything on the flip side, like, because you're Asian, oh, you didn't ace that test?
No, I did. I aced all my tests.
Oh.
No, I was, I mean, in my whole graduating class, there was 9 people that tied for first, and I was 10th.
Oh.
I know. I had a B in chemistry. It was my one and only B for my entire high school career. I had one. I couldn't figure it out till this day. It's like my worst subject, chemistry. I don't get it. I'm like, how? I don't. That's like so. Like you can't touch it or feel it. It's like just numbers and letters, and this is so out there. Like it's just so not tangible. Like I can't relate to it at all. So yeah, that was my one and only B, and then yeah. All the other 9 people got perfect 4.0s or whatever it was.
Wow.
Like crazy. Yeah. But I mean, at our graduating ceremony, when we graduated from high school, they give an award. It's a George B. Carlisle Award. And they give it to one boy and one girl for the whole graduating class. And you got to be kind of well-rounded. It has to get to, be good at school, but be good at other things, be social. All of that. My best friend, Marshall York, we grew up together, my best friend since kindergarten. He got it for the boy, and I got it for the girl.
That's so cool.
Isn't that funny? So he's an actor in New York now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
So, crazy. Anything else?
Well, is there anything else you want to share? I think we're done with our questions.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
This
for
was really
coming.
fun. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm glad. Thank you for having me.